Hello and welcome to the Midweek Check-in. It's really good to see you. Tomorrow, the 25th of March, is the Feast of the Annunciation. We don't go for this feast day in the Salvation Army in a big way, but let's pause a while and see what it's about. We guess that Mary was a young teenager when she was visited by an angel who greeted her thus: "Good morning, you're beautiful with God's beauty, beautiful inside and out. God be with you." This is the Annunciation we celebrate. We know the angel told her that she was going to be the mother of a king who would rule forever. An amazing annunciation. But the crucial line for us is this reaction of hers. Verse 38. "Let it be with me just as you say." Wow. Acquiescence to God's will. That's where we need to be. Who's in a place where they can say to God, "I'm okay to accept reality as it is. Your will for my life is the best thing that could possibly happen. Let it be with me just as you say." Our lives have been in turmoil for the last year. We want things to go back to normal, but we have a sneaky suspicion that the normal we crave will never, ever return. This is not a bad thing, because reality, our experience of life as it is constantly changing anyway. The actual issue we're railing against is that the order and amount of change has been taken out of our hands. In other words, the coronavirus has highlighted the fact that we're not really in charge. The virus has forced us to change so many things in our lives. Social habits, travel plans, even our personal freedom. In short, all the things that we would like to have done have been denied. What we don't like is that we're not in control anymore. The Annunciation was an angel telling Mary that she was basically relinquishing control of her life to God. And even though she trusted enough to say, "Let it be with me just as you say," she had little clue of the anguish and heartache that being the mother of Jesus would cause. Anguish, heartache, and ultimately adoration, praise and worship as she experienced both the cruel killing and ultimate resurrection of her precious son. Coronavirus has highlighted something we'd rather not consider. We have little actual control over our lives. We exercise all kinds of regimes and do OCD to its limits to impose a kind of superficial control over our lives. If we spend time organising ourselves and others, we think it proves we're in control. Coronavirus comes along and the facade of control quickly falls away. We feel the urge to control our environment in order to make ourselves comfortable. Nothing wrong with that until our attempts at control stray over boundaries and we decide that we have to control other people in order for us to feel comfortable. Control is a thing, but as Christians, the only aspect we're legitimately allowed to control is ourselves. Let's park that one for a moment. The Feast of the Annunciation commemorates the act of God coming into our lives to demonstrate that when we allow Emmanuel, God with us, access to our lives, we are changed forever. If we inhabit a world where it's the expectation that we say to God, "Let it be with me just as you say," then we become more accepting of reality as it is. Our job then becomes less about controlling our environment so that we're comfortable, more about spending our time looking for God's action and presence in our everyday experience. Is our present experience of life focused on the feeling of discomfort that coronavirus brings, or are we living life like excited children, looking for wonder, expecting it, seeing it in the most unlikely of places, and practicing giving God the glory in any and every situation? Let it be with me just as you say means that whatever comes along, whatever life throws at us, we're looking for God's fingerprints. Get the spiritual forensic kit out, because He is with you right now. He's with you, hidden in plain sight. Psalm 40 is on the lectionary for Annunciation Day. Verse 5 says, the world's a huge stockpile of God wonders and God thoughts. Listen, here's the Protestant version of the Annunciation. God tells us that He's with us, that the world bears ample testimony to that fact. God announces Himself to us, which blows our minds, just as it did Mary's. What do we do next? Here's the psalmist's view. Still, verse 5. Nothing and no one comes close to you. I start talking about you, telling what I know, and quickly run out of words. Neither numbers nor words account for you. We praise, we worship. When we do that, what happens is that we quickly run out of superlatives and adequate phrases. The psalmist continues to muse. Verse 6, doing something for you, bringing something to you, that's not what you're after. Being religious, acting pious, that's not what you're asking for. You've opened my ears so I can listen. You've dug my ears. You've pierced my ears. It's poetic, so metaphor is key. God's not trying to make us wear earrings or extract wax. He's opening our perception to accept new light. When we accept the new God reality, the God with us truth, then we see the world differently. We see God differently. This is what happened to the psalmist. Verse 7. I said, behold, I come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me. I delight to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. We talked about the right prescription a couple of weeks ago. Here it is again. It is written of me can be rendered, it is prescribed for me. The right prescription is to delight in doing God's will. If we have to take blood pressure medication, it's to help reduce pressure and protect our organs. Taking spiritual medication has a similar effect, reducing pressure on our stress points. The right prescription is to delight in doing God's will. What does the psalmist prescribe? What is the right prescription? Verse 9. I've preached you to the whole congregation. I've kept back nothing. God, you know that. I didn't keep the news of your ways a secret. I didn't keep it to myself. I told it all, how dependable you are, how thorough. I didn't hold back pieces of your love and truth for myself alone. I told it all. Let the congregation know the whole story. This is the genesis of testimony, isn't it? This speaks to the efficacy of testimony as well. The right prescription, the spiritual stress reducer, is to tell others about Jesus. We praise and worship God at a personal level, and we tell others about Him on a social level. Standing up and testifying in a meeting has been denied us. But you know what? We can still share who God is with others. Tomorrow, 25th of March, we celebrate the Annunciation by the angel to Mary of the news about the coming of Emmanuel. we work out the reality of what God with us means in our lives. And we turn that into an annunciation of our own. We tell others about Jesus in our lives. We announce in the supermarket, in the home, wherever we're allowed to be, that God is with us and He's made an incredible difference. My suggestion is not to come across as a religious zealot, though. You can be Jesus without quoting the Bible. You can demonstrate unconditional love to others without coming across as a weirdo. Your enunciation of God's greatness will sound like you, being you. We started by describing how coronavirus has meant we've had to get used to not being in control. If the truth of the matter is that we're not in control anyway, the best person to lose control to is God. Mary knew that when she said, "Let it be with me just as you say." As we move through Lent and continue to prepare our hearts and spirits for Good Friday and Easter, let's practice losing control to God. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Prayer course tomorrow and worship on Sunday. See you soon and stay safe.